Hi, welcome to Low Carb Me and You. I'm Alexander, and today we're making oven roasted ham with a red wine sauce and a chicory gratin. Ham, chicory, and cheese. A trio of flavors that just works. And while we can just take the quick and easy route, no harm there, we're going to make a delicious meal by using some French cooking techniques. We'll elevate that ham with some garlic and thyme and pair it with a lovely red wine sauce. Then serve it with a chicory gratin that can compete with a regular potato gratin any day. We have a lot to do, so let's get cooking. We'll start off with the chicory gratin. Get yourself a nice pile of chicory, some heavy cream, Gruyere cheese, walnuts, an egg, some salt, and pepper. A detailed list of ingredients is in the description. To start the gratin, we're going to pre-cook the chicory for a couple of minutes. By cooking it, we'll make it nice and pliable and remove quite a bit of the water in the chicory. That way, we can pack it into our ramekins or oven dish later, and it won't be a soggy soup when serving. Preparing the chicory is easy enough. Cut it in half and remove the heart. Easiest way to remove it is to use a big knife and then cut at an angle. You never really know how big the heart is by looking at chicory. It wildly varies. But if you make a big enough recipe, like this one, for 4 servings, it'll average out anyway. Once cleaned, you can cut it into strips. Doesn't really matter how big, but try to give it an even cut. Put your chicory in a large enough pot and fill it with water. It should be enough water to barely cover all of it. Then put it on your stove on high heat and bring it to a boil. Let it boil for 5 minutes, then drain the water. Make sure to properly drain all of the water, because it'll pack quite tightly when draining and a lot of water gets stuck in between, so just give it some time. While you wait for the chicory to cook and drain, you can chop the walnuts and prepare the sauce. Walnuts are a great flavor combination with the chicory. They both have a certain bitter taste that overlaps, and then there's the combination of their unique flavors that really works. We don't want large hard chunks of walnut, so just chop it finely to help mix it in and distribute easily. Then set aside. Get yourself a bowl and a whisk to prepare the sauce for the gratin. Add the cream, the egg, salt, and pepper, and whisk well. The egg will help thicken the sauce and give the gratin some cohesion. We're mostly leaning on the flavors of the chicory and walnut, so we're keeping this simple. By now your chicory should be properly drained. Before we're going to add this to our ramekins, we'll first mix in the walnut. When that's done, we're adding about half of our Gruyere cheese. It'll melt pretty quickly, so make sure to keep the pace in mixing this in. We're making 4 servings, so we'll need 4 ramekins. You can also use an oven dish. It's not important for the flavor, just serving. Add your chicory, then ladle in the sauce. Then top it off with the rest of your Gruyere. You can set this aside for now. We'll put it in the oven once the ham goes in. If you're making this as part of another meal, you can just put it in the oven for about 20 minutes. Let's get on to the meat of the meal. You'll want to have a nice big piece of ham. Garlic and thyme are our aromatics. And we'll also need some coconut oil, butter, salt, and pepper to bring it all together. Before we can get going on the meat, we'll want to do a little bit of prep. First, we'll take some of the thyme and take off the leaves. A few stalks will do, depending on their size. This will be added when serving, so it's optional. Give the leaves a bit of a chop, but don't mince them. Then clean the garlic. You'll want big cloves. Once clean, just crush them with the flat side of your knife. All we want is to infuse their flavor. We're not actually incorporating the cloves in the meal. Large chunks will give us some leeway and prevent burning. Now we're going to sear and baste the ham before we put it in the oven. Searing it beforehand will lock in the juices and add those aromatics. Heat a pan with the coconut oil. Get it nice and hot. First, you'll want to give the ham a nice sear all around. Shouldn't take too long. Just look for that nice golden brown. Once you've got that all around, it's time to get the flavors going. Lower the heat to medium-high. Coconut oil can get really hot and we don't want the butter, garlic or thyme to burn. Once the butter is melted, we add the garlic and thyme. Then baste the ham with the flavor-infused butter. Get it all over. You can't overdo this. Flip that ham and do the other side too. Just keep an eye on the temperature. No burning of the aromatics. Then sprinkle the salt and pepper on the ham. Keep a decent distance for a better spread of the grains. Get it all over and keep basting. Now, isn't that a good looking ham? For good measure, baste it some more. Get yourself an oven dish big enough for the ham. Transfer the ham to that dish, but keep the oil and aromatics in the pan. Don't discard them as we need them for the red wine sauce. Now it's time to put it all in the oven. Put your ham and the chicory gratin in a preheated oven at 180 Celsius or 360 Fahrenheit. The ham will take about 40 minutes to cook through, depending on its exact weight and shape. The gratin will need at least 20 minutes, but it can go for 40 minutes as well. With everything in the oven, it's time to make the red wine sauce. You'll need red wine, more thyme, half an onion, salt, pepper, and some cold butter, and the aromatics used for the ham. There's not a lot of preparation to the sauce. Take your butter and cut it into smaller pieces. Then put it back into the fridge to stay cold. It's important that the butter is cold when we finish the sauce, so keep it there until needed. Then dice your onion. Traditionally, the French red wine sauce asks for shallots, but they have a bit of a sharpness that a regular onion doesn't have, which I feel doesn't go too well with the ham. You don't have to be precise, as we'll get the aromatics out at the end. Then take out your saucepan. We're going to start by adding in the aromatics left in the pan used for the ham. We want the garlic, thyme and oil in there, but don't scrape the pan to get it all. This is a flavorful start to our sauce. In case you want to make the sauce without these aromatics as a starter, you can start with a bit of butter, a crushed garlic clove, and a 1/4 cup of beef stock, which is added with the wine. Set the pan to high heat and add the onion. Sauté the onion for a couple of minutes until semi-translucent and soft. Then add in the extra thyme and give it a good stir before adding the wine, salt and pepper. Now we need to develop the flavor. Evaporate the alcohol and reduce the sauce by about a third. Reduce it by half if you added the beef stock. This is going to take a bit of time, just stir occasionally. Once you've reduced the sauce, it's time to strain it. Just pour the sauce into a sieve and get all the aromatics out. We don't need those anymore, so discard them. Then return the sauce to a clean saucepan to make sure we don't get any residual bits in our sauce. Keep the heat low, enough to keep the sauce warm. Get a whisk and the cold butter from the refrigerator. Put in all the butter at once and whisk vigorously. You want to keep whisking until you've got all the butter incorporated and have a good emulsion to the sauce. And that's it. You can keep the sauce warm until serving. We're almost ready to serve. The ham is cooked when it reaches an internal temperature of 63 degrees Celsius or 146 Fahrenheit. Just get it out of the oven and let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, you can turn on your broiler and get a bit of color on the chicory gratin. Once golden brown, these are ready for serving. To serve, you can cut the ham into thin slices. Look at that beautiful color. It's perfectly cooked, nice and juicy. You can just carve it all up and put it on a serving platter so everyone can take their fill, or make individual servings. Add a bit of the red wine sauce on top and finish with a garnish of thyme. Serve with the chicory gratin. You can keep the gratin, ham and sauce for several days, though reheating these has its downsides. The ham will get drier and the bitterness of the chicory will get stronger over time. You'd be better off just having the ham cold for lunch or as a snack, if you happen to have leftovers. Individual nutritional information is in the description, but the macros for an entire serving are these: 7.1 grams of carbs, 42 grams of protein, 37 grams of fat, and about 567 calories. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more delicious recipes. Stay cooking, stay low carb, and let your taste buds dance with delight.